Now we're going to turn to Senator Mullin for his questions.
Thank you,
for those
Chairman.
responses.
Thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to add to Senator Capito's question to Ms. Shaw, or to Ms. Shore. I'm going to ask Mr. Shaw, would you speak to the fact that the waste is being disposed at a facility 17 miles from East Palestine?
I'm sorry, Senator. Could you repeat the question?
Well, we've got reports that East Liverpool in Ohio is receiving this waste from East Palestine that has been disposed of. Is that accurate?
Senator, standing here today, I don't know if that's accurate as of this time.
So do you know where the waste is going to then?
It is, we're in the process of working with the EPA on a number of facilities.
So we haven't identified where it's moving to yet.
Senator, we're in the process of working with the EPA on a number of facilities that.
I understand that. I get you're in the process, but we haven't identified a place for this to be removed to yet. Is that accurate?
Senator, I want to make sure I give you the most accurate.
I get that. Yeah, I'm just saying, is it accurate that we don't have a spot yet for it?
Senator, we are moving some off-site.
Where's it moving to?
I'm happy to give you a list of those facilities.
Could you do that for us, please? I appreciate that. Mr. Shaw, when the vent and burn process was being made, who made those decisions, and what was other considerations other than just burning it and letting the material burn off?
Thank you for that question. The only consideration, Senator, was the safety and health of the community. And that decision was made by unified command under the direction of the incident commander.
Who's that?
The incident commander was Fire Chief Drabeck. Norfolk Southern was a part of unified command.
So who owns the car? Who actually owned the rail car or the material in it?
The rail car in question are tank cars, of which no railroad owns.
Okay, were they considered in this decision making? Are they responsible for the content of it and the car itself, for the maintenance and the material in it? Isn't that correct?
Senator, it's a privately owned rail car, and so the maintenance requirements for that rail car are between the rail car lessor and the customer, and those are private contracts. I'm not privy to.
But they're responsible for the content and the car, correct? Making sure it's operating properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, were they considered in this decision making? Considering it was their car, their design, their responsibility, were they part of that decision making on being able to vent it and burn it?
Senator, the customer provided input.
Were they in the room when the decision was being made? Because I've received reports that they weren't, so they weren't in the room?
No, sir. Not to my knowledge.
I just seen that kind of hard to believe, that considering that it's their car, it's their responsibility, and they weren't even considered before this decision to vent and burn it in the middle of a town. Doesn't it seem like possibly a mistake there?
Senator, Unified Command was focused solely on the health and safety of the community.
Right. So the people that was in charge of the car should probably have a say in that to make sure we know the best way to dispose of it.
My understanding at the time, from talking to experts, was that we were at risk of a catastrophic rupture that would have resulted in uncontrolled release of hazardous materials.
But it's my understanding, and I haven't been able to clarify this, that the report that I received was the fact that the car was actually working properly at the time, but the car's owners, the ones that were responsible for it, wasn't consulted before it was burned off. Now, I haven't been able to verify that, but I'm asking these questions because that's the information that I received. And if that's the case, I think that's an area for improvement. Wouldn't you consider that?
Senator, I can't comment on the accuracy of that report. I'm not aware of that.
But I'm saying if it's accurate, if that was accurate, wouldn't you consider that's a place that we could probably learn from?
I think the primary concern was the health and the safety of the community.
Sir, I get what you're saying, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to you. But I'm saying is if all parties that's responsible for that car should have been part of that decision-making, And because I believe they would probably be saying that they would be concerned too. I think everybody in this room will say that we're concerned about the health and safety of others. That's a gimme. So there's no point in repeating that. I'm just saying, how can we learn from this going forward? If they weren't in the room during the decision-making, and yet it was their car, and the report may be accurate that the car was actually working functionally correctly, because those cars are designed for this kind of incident, that the option to vent and burn may not have been the best option if we didn't consider all other options first.
Senator, I understand that. The experts on the ground who were there were very concerned about the pressure in a car.
Right.
We also noted that other cars had been in a pool fire, and their unified command was aware that there was a concern for a catastrophic explosion that would shoot VCM gas and shrapnel.
I hear you. We're just talking in circles here. Chairman, what I'm trying to get to is the fact that if this car was designed by someone else, and if this car was owned by somebody else, and the function of that car was designed by somebody else and was responsible by somebody else, then how do we know that the car wasn't working properly to begin with? And that's a question that needs to be answered, because someone may need to be held responsible that made the decision to burn this off. Because some of this and a lot of this could have been prevented. With that, I'll yield back.